It's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. And today we are reviewing season 5 of The X-Files.
What should season 5 be called, Safi?
Well, I think it's called Scully and Mueller Make Movies While They Make X-Files Episodes.
Yeah.
What's that like?
The X-Files artist instead of the disaster artist.
I don't know. And then also, Marco might want to reveal what he discovered during some of his research about the series creator and what he wanted to do, I guess, after season 5 was over.
It's cool on IMDb because they have such useful information. Like, they have user reviews that are sometimes all the way back in the 90s. And so you can see what people were thinking at the time of these episodes coming out. And I looked at the trivia, and they talked about how they filmed the movie during the season. And you can tell that because there's so many episodes where it's either a Scully episode or it's a Mulder episode. And it's really distracting, and it's so disconnected this season. But what makes it even worse is that it turns out that the showrunner, he wanted to end the series after this 5th season and then conclude the series with conclude the X-Files series overall with a little series of movies. And I thought, like, oh. And you know what happened? The network said, you're not getting away with that, you fucking lazy ass. Showrunner fucking trying to cheat people out of their X-Files. I mean, this is sickening. But, you know, it's a good thing because, see, this is what happened back when movies and television were good, is the people in charge, they would say, no way, Jose, you're making more than 5 seasons, and you better fucking have more than 20 episodes next season. And so I thought that was hilarious, that he wanted to just cop out and end the series. I mean, this fucker, he didn't even talk about Mr. X. I mean, we're still wondering, Safi, what happened with Mr. X? I mean, he died in a puddle of his own blood, and he left a bloody message for the X-Files, and they still haven't talked about him. Like, what a mess. And they were going to end it after this 5th season? Ew.
Well, was he in this season?
Yeah, he was in the Lone Gunman origin episode.
Right.
And he was actually the best part of the episode.
Yeah, very exciting part.
He was really good in it, and it's like, oh, too bad he's not around. And see, that's another thing, Safi. While those people were out filming the movie, they could have had Mr. X come in and substitute. And it could have been Mulder and Mr. X. Or it could have been Scully and Mr. X. Or they could have done something different, like have Mulder team up with the Smoking Man. Or have Scully team up with the Lone Gunman. And then the leader of the Lone Gunman goes out into the field with her. Like, they could have done so many different things. But instead they just chose to have these terrible episodes where it's just one or the other. And there was one of them that was a 2-parter, and that almost made me want to stop watching the whole series. So, what do you have to say, Safi? What do you think about that? About Mr. Cop-Out? Let's not call him...
I'm just shocked, because back then we were watching it.
Yeah.
It was like everybody's favorite show.
Safi, could you imagine if they had ended it after 5 measly seasons?
Back then, no, and even today, they still have, let's see, The Simpsons, they have the...
Oh, that's a bad example.
They have NCIS.
That's a bad example.
That's been on for multiple seasons, and they didn't seem to be too shy about a very popular show with many people to let it keep, well, I'm talking about NCIS specifically, to keep it going, which that's great. And they never have a shortage of stories. There's always something with the military. You see stuff in the paper.
Well, let's not call Chris Carter Chris Carter. Let's call him Chris Cop Out from now on.
Well, I'm just shocked because, they interviewed these people, like they would have this show. I don't know if it's on anymore. It was on like right after the news, I think. It was called Entertainment Tonight. And they would show like, little clips or talk to actors or directors of like a current movie or a current popular TV show, or they would just talk about it. And they do stuff like that now, but it's not Entertainment Tonight, but that was the show. And they would feature, I'm sure they would feature them and
Chris
him.
Cop Out?
I mean, they were on, I don't know what I saw them on, but I mean, they were around.
And Safi,
So,
you thought that they could go for 40 seasons with NCIS? With the X-Files, they could literally do that show until they're dead.
yeah,
With
they
all the
could.
different stories they could come up with.
They
I mean,
sure could.
it's insane.
Oh, I know.
So-
I know.
There's no excuse, and I think that's a huge. Because remember, Safi, and I'm bringing this up because it's important. Remember this. You said in the beginning they were finding their footing, and they were just having a hard time. Boo-hoo.
I don't know why though either.
But the thing is that now you realize the whole time Chris Cop Out was trash, and he doesn't know how to make a show, and he doesn't know he doesn't have a good plan, because just at least over these 5 seasons, Safi, this 5 seasons feels like nothing, because they're so disconnected and discombobulated, and they really don't feel connected at all. And I really think that reflects poorly on him when he also wanted to end it after this season. I mean, this would have been a terrible season to end it on. And then
Oh,
to have a
God.
couple of movies, have a couple of little movies after that, like fuck off.
Well, it's been, in fact, I think the season that we're watching isn't it 1998?
Yeah, it's 1998.
And so that's 23 years ago. And as far as I know now, I could be totally wrong. Chris Carter hasn't done anything since then. I mean, I know they did
He hasn't, and I checked.
they did an X-Files reboot, I know, a couple
Well,
years ago.
they called it a revival, which I don't know. That's going to be something we bring up. Why would you call it a revival if you're just going to bring it back for like 2 seasons that are not even full seasons? That's not a revival, because when I think of a revival, I would think they're going to go on for like another 12,000 years.
I don't know, but I'm thinking like this is today. This is 2022. That was back in 1998. We were watching the show, and he would have ended it, and then maybe had a couple movies. I saw the one movie. I don't think I saw anything more than that. And then he does nothing.
Well, you didn't see the movie in 2005, because Safi and I were gonna see it, because I would rent a couple episodes from the library. The Irresistible episode was my favorite one, and I wanted to see it, and Safi wanted to see the movie, but then we saw that it got bad reviews, so we just didn't go see it.
Oh, glad you remember.
It's true, you were very disappointed.
I was, because I would have been, because it was just something to look forward to. I mean, there was no, well, I guess there was. We just couldn't see the show again. Maybe they didn't have the show to buy. We couldn't, the only time we could see it was, if you want to see something again, over again, You know, you had to get something from the library. We
Yeah.
checked a lot of stuff out from the library. We
But
can't get cable here.
you
We
can only
never
get-
have been able to. So
You could only get like 2 to 4 episodes at a time, though.
yeah,
So that's
because
what.
they were separately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had different discs,
yeah, and we had a limitation on what we could check out.
and I would always just get Irresistible.
Well, anyway, I think we should go a little bit into it.
Well, go ahead, Safi.
There are 20 total episodes. There are a wide range of topics. Let's see, and of course, The Usual Suspects, which is, isn't that a title of one of the episodes?
Yeah, the Lone Gunman origin episode.
Yeah, we have the group of, what would you call it, geeky guys who are very, very computer knowledgeable, and not just that, but they're also knowledgeable about things that the government's doing or working on from rumors maybe they've heard, and just doing research, talking to people. But anyway, they all look different, and they're interesting. They're fun to watch, and they make their first appearance here as the origin story, and so we get to see. I thought they were all together all along, and apparently no. And they got together and met Mulder at the same time, so I thought that was interesting. And then you have stories about Scully. Apparently she has a daughter she never knew, and we also find out that her brother is a jerk.
Her brother,
A total jerk.
He continues to just be the worst, and it is funny though, because he just comes into the room, and immediately you look at his face and you can tell that like he's just gonna suck the life out of the room. But it's pretty funny to me, because it's like, you know, I don't want to see her stupid family anyway. Like, her family is literally at this point just like shooting targets for the cigarette man to kill off all the family members.
Yeah, and there's him. In the last, what was it? The last season, he died. He was shot.
At the beginning of this season.
Oh, okay.
He gets shot. He reveals that he was Samantha Mulder's father.
And then we find out he's not only her father, he's also
Jeffrey's
special
father.
agent
Jeffrey Spender.
Spender's father. And you say, who's that? That's the FBI agent that is Angela Cartwright. That's the lady who is in the wheelchair. That's her real name in real life.
Really?
She was in Lost in Space, and she was in The Sound of Music.
Wow.
I grew up with her. She's been around for a long time.
Oh.
But anyway.
Would you like her autograph?
No, I don't care about that stuff. Anyway, Jeffrey Spender, that's his mother in the show. And so, you know, he doesn't believe anything his mother says. He's a real nice guy, not. And he hates Mulder with the passion, because Mulder does, and
yeah.
I don't know what it is. He's jealous. Or,
honestly, I really like his character because in the first season, or at least from the first season, I complained heavily, you know, why aren't they emphasizing the discrimination against Mulder? Of like, people call him Spooky Mulder, and they talk about him behind his back, and like, why aren't they doing any story around that and having some agents who are like jackasses? And so I'm really glad that finally you have this Jeffrey character, because it feels like, at least like, he's fulfilling that wish that I wanted in season 1.
Well, we find out that the cigarette guy,
he's his father too.
His father too. So boy, he's been around a while. He's not just smoking cigarettes. He's out doing things with the ladies.
That's what they didn't show in his origin episode. They didn't show him running around sleeping with different women.
No, they didn't. You just well, something had to have happened for those two ladies to get pregnant with his children.
I thought that was stupid. I thought that was like total contrived BS. Like, who cares? Like, even if he was, like, who cares if he's the father? Like, who cares? Like, that's not interesting at all. We care about the X-Files. We care about aliens and monsters and shit. We don't care about, what's that show called? Who's the Father? What's that show called? Cigarette Man, you are the father!
Oh, God.
Like, that's this whole season. It's like F off. Like, who cares? He's the Cigarette Man. Like, what is this, Californication? Where you got fucking... They did the same thing in Californication. Season 7, the final season, David Duchovny finds out he's got a son. And his son's a real shithead named Levon. And he's a... No, I'm not talking about Levon.
Okay, well, and then, of course, we have monsters. We have a monster that looks like a bug, and there's more than one, and it looks like a giant bug, or like a fly or something. Then we have a Frankenstein-like creature, and, of course, Dracula, or not really Dracula, but blood-sucking vampires. And
Played by the kid from The Sandlot.
Right, and then...
Which, have you seen The Sandlot? I don't think you have.
If I did, it was a long, long time ago, and it was just, I don't know, maybe because of you and Jim. Not because I wanted to watch it. It's a kid's movie about baseball. So, we have our share of monsters. We have a monster that I really didn't get. That was like part of the... It was almost like Peter Pan's shadow, only it was vicious and mean. It would attack you, and it would leave you stuck in some cave area, and then you would end up dying probably because you didn't have anything to eat, and you had no water, and maybe you were wounded very badly from being...
Oh, you're shit-talking that episode?
Well, I just didn't get
Oh,
that episode at all.
Yeah, fuck off with that. Okay.
Okay.
That episode was really good. I'm going to come to the defense of that episode because I've seen other weirdos like Safi attack it and say like, that's the tree people episode. Like, F off.
I don't know what they were called.
It's a really good episode. They're called Moss People. And they're from German folklore, and they're creatures who... They blend in with the moss on the trees. They blend in with trees.
It's like Predator.
And
That's what it reminds me of.
And they snatch people when they're not looking. They trip them, they snatch them, and they kill them. And there was also rumor that they like to steal babies and children, and stuff like that. They're really creepy. And actually, the episode was pretty damn good in my opinion. The only thing I didn't like is that at the very end, Mulder suggests that they are the conquistadors. And they have adapted over time, but they're the conquistadors. And it's like, yeah, okay. That was stupid. That wasn't needed.
I guess that's what I didn't understand when he said that stuff. I'm like, what?
But you gave a really stupid description of the episode, saying like, what were you saying? Like, there's some...
I don't know. I just didn't... now I remember that about the blending in, and it reminded me a lot of Predator.
And it was good. I liked it.
I don't know. They must have done kind of a similar thing.
I give it a B+.
Oh, great. Well, I just...
except for the ending.
Our mission of this review was there's 20 episodes, so basically we can even it out 10 and 10 really good episodes and ranked, in the number of, what you like, and then you have 10 that you don't like at all. So it just works out perfectly. So I think we should get started with that.
Well, okay. Well, let me just give an over review of the season because
Okay.
I didn't hate this season. Like in terms of the episodes, what I hated about it was the feeling that I got from watching the episodes and feeling like, hey, this isn't the X Files. Like, you're just having like a Scully episode. Like, I'd love to watch a Scully episode, uh, but not the ones that they did in this season. And I'd love to watch a Mulder episode, but definitely not one like the fucking Travelers episode. Throw that shit in the garbage can where it belongs. But this season, it really struggled in terms of connection, and I would say that this is the worst season so far because of all those different variables. The fact that you can tell they were filming a movie, the fact that the creator had the gall to want to fucking end the show after this season. I mean, what a weak season it would have been to end on. And just for all those reasons, I just have to say it's the worst. And the ending was not satisfying.
No.
It was just another episode where it raised more questions than answers. And it just wasn't a good, like, you can raise questions but still have a good finale. And I really wish that they would do good finales. I just don't understand what happened. Season 3 was a masterpiece. And then after that, they were like, who cares? Let's just do whatever and, just go on cruise control while fucking David Duchovny stares at actresses on set. And he invites them to lunch and says, hey, I got an extra Jell-O container in my trailer. You want to go over some lines? Ooh, right here I say, I am asking the questions here, and you have to say, it's like, this season was bad, Safi.
Okay.
It did have some really good episodes, though. It had, I would say, it did have, like, half good, half bad.
Yeah.
So, Safi, why don't you go ahead since you're about to collapse
I know, I'm fading.
into a coma.
Yeah, that's because I get up so early. But anyway, I guess if you want to do the 10 worst.
Yeah, let's do that first. You do your 10 worst first, and then I'll do my 10 worst.
I was looking at the good ones. I shouldn't have been doing that. Okay, well, I hate to even say the thing I have a problem with, I've had a problem all along, and that's with every single season, is that a lot of the times, probably maybe 75%, the titles have nothing to do with the episode. And so when I look at them, like, what episode was that? And I have to go through my notes to see, because I just can't, like, here's one that's Emily. That's number 8 of my worst list. The 2 episodes where are 8 and 9, and 10 is the worst. Okay, the 10 is the red and the black, and I think that's where Scully's trying to find out. She's doing an experiment to find out how.
She's doing the hypnosis.
Oh, that's the hypnosis. Okay,
yeah, it's
well,
the second part.
She was on a bridge. She didn't know how she got there. It was like a big metal bridge, tall, and all the people who were with her were all former alien abductees. And then you see these lights, and then you see these faceless guys who actually, I don't know what they did, if they had different actors that kind of had a similar mask on, but they, like, you couldn't see their eyes. And they had these rods with them that when they touched people, they lit them on fire. And then overhead, you have this big space, like a big flying saucer, humongous, and it was flying overhead too, and everybody's screaming, going, what's going on? And she's there with them. This happened to her. That's what the hypnosis was about, was she was trying to tell them what happened, because she had blocked it out of her mind. She actually had gotten burned. but she didn't get. Some people were burned to death.
Safi, just
But
don't go
anyway.
into that much description.
Well,
It's
anyway,
not necessary at all.
But for the bad episodes, the red and the black, and then Patient X is 9 and Emily is 8. And this is about this little girl that.
Patient X was the first part of the burning episode.
Oh, okay.
And then Emily is the second part of a Christmas Carol episode.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. Yeah, Patient X is the part of the bridge.
Now you're already getting confused.
Now we have 8 and 7, and that's Christmas Land, or Christmas Carol.
Land.
Sorry, Marco and Emily. And this is where Scully thought her sister had a baby. Because she finds her, there's this family that a guy got killed, a father, and,
a woman.
Oh, God,
a
that's
woman
right.
got killed first, Safi.
Yeah, and then he got killed later. The whole family was murdered.
You're not going to be winning any X-Files trivia contests with me around.
No, I'm not. And, well, anyway, it all boils down to Scully has a child.
Yeah.
That's what we find out. But the child is extremely sick and dying. And her prognosis is poor because her insides, I guess, are just rapidly deteriorating. And then we have episodes like Detour, Redux 2 and Redux 1, which is actually the first and second episodes of the season.
And that's more of the dumbass shit with the, none of it's real, Mulder. It was all for you.
And then
my cancer was all for you.
And then we get to the worst ones, which Pine Bluff variant,
Oh.
which I did not like it. It was about,
God.
I mean, I don't even know what to, it was really, well, the essence of it, the main, but I just didn't like this thing in the bank and wearing masks and people getting killed. I just didn't care for that at all.
Why?
But Pine Bluff actually refers to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And they had this, they were doing these experiments with, what do you call it? What is it called? Biological warfare. And it ended up, they were supposed to, this was all banned years ago, this work on these kinds of weapons. But these people continued to do it anyway, the military. And so now at this time when the season's going on, they had some incidents where they used this, and this was all about this whole episode.
And you're like, I didn't like it because, like, the masks and banks and stuff.
Well, I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I was stupid. I didn't get, and then at the end, Mulder said, "You just played me. You used me." And, he was actually put in grave danger. He could have been killed at any time. And then at the end, one of the main bad guys who did the thing, what they did was they sprayed this aerosol all over this money they said they wanted to steal. Well, they just wanted people to handle it, get out in the population and kill everybody. And,
he turns out to be a good guy. Like, who cares,
well, I know
Safi?
that, but I mean, I'm
That was
talking
good.
about somebody at the end.
That was good.
I thought it was him. He got exposed to that and he died.
Yeah, the leader who just ran away, he died.
Yeah.
So what?
Anyway,
like that was a good thing. He's a terrorist.
And then we actually have one black and white episode called The Travelers, and this referred.
The Travelers was not black and white at all.
I thought it was.
Frankenstein was.
Oh. Well, I'm almost ready to give up. I'm tired. But anyway, there's Travelers, and that's actually about Mulder's father and an FBI agent who I think is Darren Gavin. I think that's who it is. Who an old Darren Gavin playing an retired FBI agent who knew about Mulder's father. And then the worst episode, and I think Marco agrees with me, it was called All Souls, and it was with Scully, and her constantly going into confession with the priest, and her daughter who what it ended up to be, she pulled the plug on her because she just got so bad she was going to die anyway.
Safi, did she ever tell the priest that she was, she had sex out of marriage? Because that's how she got Emily, she had sex with the government.
Whatever, Marco. I mean, really, that's really a good point, because I don't know. I've never done confession. I'm not a Catholic. I'm Episcopalian, and they do have confession, Episcopalian church, but it's not something that's like Catholic where you have to do it. I mean, so I don't know what that's like. So I don't know, if you went in and you said something, does the priest sit there and chastise you? I have no idea. Okay, my good ones are...
Oh, wait, no, I want to do my bad ones.
Oh, yeah,
now.
Marco should do his now. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, 10. Number 10, oh, I need water. Number 10 is Kill Switch, which I didn't think it was bad. I don't think there's 10 bad episodes, but this just happened to be in the worst half, I guess. And I just thought that it was really over the top. It was an over the top version of the Ghost in the Machine episode from season 1, the one that everyone complains about. Like, just because this episode has more flash and more bang means you like it more than the same episode from season 1. Like, I don't like that, but I liked the episode fine. It was like a C+. Number 9 was Patient X. That was the first half of the burning thing. I just don't like this character thing with Mulder not believing. It's really kind of pathetic and weak. It makes his character look really bad. I mean, the way that he acts in the episode is just like, ugh. Like, I don't like his character anymore. And that's not good since he's supposed to be the star. Number 8 was the end, the finale. I really did not like how ambiguous this episode was, and how they had the psychic kid, and it was almost like they couldn't for plot convenience, but they had the psychic kid and they didn't even ask him any good questions, like any important questions about anything. We never get, and when he gets picked up by the cigarette man, we never get to hear him like analyze the cigarette man or analyze Krychek. And then that's another thing. Krychek just comes out of nowhere once again for the millionth time.
Actually, I think he came back 3 times this season, didn't he?
It
was multiple times.
It was 3 episodes, but one of them was the burning 2-parter. And so he just comes back, he flip-flops, he's either a good guy, like, I'm sick of him. Like, throw him out in the trash. And then also, Skinner is useless. His character, he's just a nothing. Like, his character is so meaningless. It's ridiculous. And then if that's not bad enough, they thought that to make this a really good finale, and just keep in mind, this was supposed to be the ending of the series. The ending of the series was going to be the cigarette man burning up the X-Files office. I mean, what a stupid, lame ending that would have been. What a weak ending. And it just, ugh. It's like, can we just answer some things already? I mean, you can answer stuff and still leave questions, but just it was a terrible finale. And then what number was I on? 7?
Yeah.
7 is schizogeny. It's a mediocre, blah, teenage episode. Angsty teenagers. I would never want to watch this episode again. It's just teenagers, like, really upset, because they have abusive parents, and it's like
The
boo-hoo.
abusive parents get killed.
And it's like boo-hoo. I don't want to see that in this X-Files episode. I want to see monsters and aliens and monsters. And the number 6 is Mind's Eye. What was that episode? What was Mind's Eye? Oh yeah, that was the one where the girl. Okay.
The blind girl.
Yeah.
Can see a murder.
No, I
commit
remember.
The murder.
And
I like that episode because it was a twist to it. It was a major twist, and
I thought it was an entertaining episode.
You don't find that until about the end.
I just did not like the character choices that they made. I did not like how, and that was another. He's the father. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, how many fathers are we discovering in this series?
Yeah, I know that is interesting.
Yeah, it's laziness, and I would say that I just hated the character choices. I hated this character, this blind girl. She's like, I want to go to prison. Why won't you let me go to prison so I can get gang raped by all the dyke gangs in prison? And like, that's the episode.
She didn't say that.
That's what she wanted, I guess, because she's like, I feel guilty about the stuff I see. Number 5 is how do you say it? Kitsunagari.
Right.
This was the sequel to the Pushers episode, and what a effing embarrassment. What a total sickening, wasted sequel. You're talking about the most iconic villain of the series wasted in this shit episode where he's hardly in the episode. He never talks the whole episode. And then the real villain is actually his sister. And it's like, ugh. Like, what is this? What is that, Safi? You put that in your top 10. Freaking weirdo.
I put it the last one at 10 because, and the schizogeny is number 9. I mean, they're at the bottom. I was glad they brought him back, but like you said, he never talked. And what was ridiculous to me is that after all this time, he gets out of prison, not because they want him to. He escaped. But I mean, because he did what he does all the time, and like, what was he doing? Just waiting around until he felt like doing it? I mean, if it was that
that's
easy,
what they said.
If it was that easy for him to do, why didn't he just do it right away? And I thought that was just ridiculous.
You want to know what one of the worst lines was of the season?
What?
I thought the Pusher had a brain tumor. He still does. Like, remember last time he was sick in the hospital on his deathbed, and now all of a sudden he's walking around perfectly fine, and the response is, he still has it, and it's like, just, ugh. Number 4 was Christmas Carol. Number 3 was Emily. These were basically like soap opera episodes of the X-Files. You get to see her shitty family in their full glory, with her brother being a complete
jerk,
a complete prude, a complete piece of shit, and so it's funny with her having it's like he came in as like such a plot convenience character because she didn't have any relatives left except for her mom, and so they just had to add in this brother, and they gave her the worst brother of all time. And so I thought that was funny, but the story is just stupid where she finds out she has a daughter, and it's like, who cares? It's like a soap opera. Mulder wasn't even in the first episode, and it's too bad because I was really looking forward to seeing a Scully-centric episode, and then this is what they gave us. In the second half, they did something even shittier, because but at the end, the second half was actually a good episode. But then at the end of the second half, she actually kills her own daughter, and she kills her. And I just thought that that was hilarious. Like, now Scully is literally a child killer. That's her character. And then they have this gross ass scene where they're at her funeral, and she opens up her coffin, and she digs through her she digs through her ashes to get her stupid ass cross necklace, and it's like, ugh, gross. What a stupid episode. And if that's not bad enough, Mulder found the cure to Emily's disease, and he chose to let the he chose to
I
let
didn't get that at all either.
he threw out the cure to this girl's disease, and he let a little girl die. So now officially, Scully and Mulder are both child killers.
Yeah, let's not exaggerate. That's
They are.
stupid.
They're child killers.
I just didn't get the decision making of this at all.
Yeah, I hated that. Number 2 was Travelers, which I hated this episode so much that I was falling asleep throughout the whole episode. And it was this stupid episode where it was all in the 1950s, and it was this irrelevant story about Mulder's stupid father and all this crap. And it's like, who cares? Like, it was just so meaningless and irrelevant. And speaking of meaningless and irrelevant, number 1 was All Souls. And that was the worst episode of the season. I don't know what the fuck that was. It was some stupid religious episode about Scully and her religion.
She must have gone to confession like 20 times. I'm like, God bless it.
Yeah, she did not confess having lust for Mulder, though. That was not one of the confessions, which probably angered a lot of fans.
It was just about the little girl.
No, it was not. All Souls had nothing to do with the little girl.
It was about her feeling about her.
It was
and how
about-
it kept popping into this and that and the other.
It was about some random teenage girl who got, I don't know, some bad guy. Like, I don't even know what happened, because I was I was looking at my phone the whole episode, just like, ugh, this is stupid. Who cares about this crap? This is such a shitty, irrelevant episode. So, Safi, what are your 10 best?
Okay, well, you did such a good job on explaining them, and I have to look at my notes. The top, the end of the list, these are the best ones, okay? And the best ones in terms of, they're not, some of them I liked a lot, okay? But these other ones that they're at the bottom of the 10, they're not exactly my favorite, but they had something about them that I liked. But whereas maybe these other ones, like, let's say, Christmas Carol and Emily and All Souls, I just hated them. And Travelers, and that's why there was nothing about them that was redeeming. And the problem is just the season. Like we've said, it was lacking. It was kind of like
It was a goof-off season.
yeah, it's silly. Some of it was silly, and that was fun. But still, you could just feel it's like they didn't have their minds completely devoted to it, which that's why I didn't like, because they were doing this movie, they were distracted. So half of these episodes, they're not that great. It's just the fact that there was something about them that I liked. And my number 10 was that Kitsu Nagari that we just talked about. And number 9, Schizogony.
Schizogony.
And that was that teenage boy. He'd been accused of killing his dad, but he didn't do it. He'd get in trouble all the time. I guess he was kind of a rebel. And but he didn't do it. In fact, it was about teenage kids, and Marco went through this, so I'm not going to go on. And then,
well, he was rebelling because he got abused at home and abused at school. So
right, and but in the end, they find out that I'm not really sure it was an orchard, and there was this, I don't know if it was a ghost or a guy came back, and he killed all these people, and then the ground ate the people, and that helped nurture the orchard or something. I don't know. It's just bizarre. I mean, I don't know why. It was unusual and weird. That's why I liked it, but really, it wasn't that great.
I just don't like the teen stuff.
And then my number 7 is the end, and that's of course the last episode. The cigarette guy tells Agent Spender he's his dad. They burn Boulder's office up, and that means all of his research and files, which was really sickening. It kind of reminded me of an episode in Grimm where his ex-wife, not ex-wife, but his wife was so angered by him and hateful, she burned down his trailer, which had most of these books that had been around since for thousands of years, with all these drawings. I mean, just all of this stuff, weapons and everything. It was just, and so that's what reminded me of that. I mean, I guess that's a thing where shows, for some kind of dramatic wake up, seal the deal in the season thing, is to have a fire. So, and then my number 6 was Folio Adieu, and I'm not even gonna bother. Well, let me see. I have all of the episodes written down, and I put, like I said, most of them, the titles have nothing to do with the episode.
What's the next episode?
And then, well, I just can't find. I'm just too tired. Anyway, number 5 is Unusual Suspects. Number 4 is the Postmodern Prometheus, and that is the Frankenstein episode. And it wasn't, I didn't like it completely a lot, but it was funny.
Rapenstein.
It was fun. Yeah. It was in black and white, and it was about this, and just the general thing. This kid was a comic book artist.
Yeah.
And he made a comic book about this monster, and he was actually see the monster in real life. And so they were trying to figure out who was this monster, and then
the monster was actually his father.
Well,
Remember?
Was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was just goofy, and then the end, they do this thing where it's like a musical. I don't know, that like it was a vision of what he had in the comic book. And that's what actually we were seeing. We weren't seeing something that really had happened. We were seeing something that he had envisioned and put in his comic book. So I'm not even sure. Then my number 3 is Mind's Eye. And I don't think Marco liked that one.
No, I don't like
That's
the character
the blind
decisions.
girl. And then 2, which I really liked a lot, and it kind of reminded me, the girl reminded me of that show that we saw this past year.
Really?
I don't know why, the little child prodigy and who played the violin. I don't know why she reminded me of her, but Chinga was a doll that was, I guess she was, some witch had put a spell on her, and she would kill everybody. I mean, she was bad, the doll, and I mean, she would make people bleed from their eyes, and it was just awful. And so anytime that the child had their doll with her, and they were like at the grocery store or something, everybody ran for the hills because they were
She was
afraid.
basically Annabelle, but actually scary.
I've never seen that movie, so I know that other people really like that, but I've never seen it. But it was pretty scary, so I really liked that. That was like one of the best episodes. And then my number 1 favorite episode was Bad Blood. And that was the vampire one. And one thing I really liked about it, it wasn't that special, but the thing is that it all starts out with this pizza boy, and they think he's a vampire. But what turns out to be is the whole town's a vampire.
The whole town's a
And I
vampire.
just thought that was so funny. I couldn't believe it. And the way they make them look too, because they don't, they usually in the other older movies they would show Dracula or Blackula. They're all dressed up really nicely, beautiful tuxes and capes and beautiful white starchy collars and but these were just regular people. What they would do, they made their eyes real spooky looking, and then of course they had the teeth. But I just thought it was just really funny. I didn't even know which one to put as number one between Bad Blood and Chinga. I thought that they were my really very favorite episodes. So
Really?
and that's it. And now we have to review our.
What?
As soon as Marco's done with his good movies,
Yeah, I would say so.
we're going to review
Movies?
the season in terms of food. So go ahead, Marco.
Number 10 was the Red and Black, the second part of the Burning episode. I like the hypnosis stuff with Scully and how she believes it but Mulder doesn't. I thought that worked really well in this isolated instance. And yeah, I liked that. And then I liked at the end when the cigarette man popped up and it turned out he was in Siberia and that was pretty funny. Remember that, Safi, how the letter got sent back to him and he was like,
Return to sender.
he was very upset as usual. And then number 9 was Redux Part 2. I didn't like this episode. It did have some good stuff. It was an entertaining crap fest, but it was more soap opera crap with Cigarette Man wants Mulder to join him and then he's Samantha's father. It's like, ugh. But it was okay. It was a disappointment after the first part.
Yeah.
And then number 8 was Detour. I really liked this episode, and I know that people say it's the worst episode of the series. And I don't care. I think it's really good. And number 7 was the Postmodern Prometheus, the Frankenstein one. I thought this was a fun, bad, good episode. It was like a jokey goof episode, and it was all like harmless fun. And I love the effects and everything. And, I love how it's black and white. The thing that I loved the most was I got on IMDb, and you had all these losers crying about how, oh my god, this episode is so problematic because Rapenstein is a rapist and they're okay with that and they don't arrest him. And it's like, who cares? It's a TV show. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, he could have raped like 1,000 women and I wouldn't have cared. It's a fucking TV show.
Well, they also, the women were not.
They wanted it.
They didn't want, it wasn't rape to them. If it was rape to them, they would have been the first to complain about it. Or they would want him prosecuted, but they wanted a child, and their husbands refused to do it.
Yeah, they refused to do it, so he had to do it for them.
Yeah.
And so I really love that
He was
scene.
a surrogate.
All these people complain, and they're like, the Chris Cop Out needs to apologize for this episode and how problematic it is. And it's like, yeah, get a life, loser. Anyways, 6 is the Pine Bluff variant. I really like the gross out gore effects in this episode with the people who got affected by the Pine Bluff variant, all those skeletons and things. I like the villains, especially the leader, because he was from Malcolm in the Middle, and I like seeing him, and I thought that I loved the bank sequence because seeing Mulder commit a bank heist was something I never thought I would get to see. And number 5 was Redux Part 1 or Redo, whatever the fuck, Redux Part 1. I actually thought this was a very well done episode. It handled the terrible twist in the season 4 finale pretty well, and I actually really enjoyed the episode. Number 4 was Chenga. I thought that this was a really good horror episode. The killer doll was just a really great villain, and it was a really good episode, despite the fact that it was mostly a Scully centric one.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really like that one, and I think that's an underrated episode. Number 3 is The Unusual Suspects. Seeing the origin of the lone gunman was a really nice surprise, and I thought that was really cool getting to see that. It was such a fun episode. You get to see Mr. X again before he gets killed, and then they don't care about him. And so I really and that raises another question: how did the lone gunman not see that story in the newspaper and go, "Oh shit, that's the guy that we met all those years ago"? Like, how did that not happen? Wink, wink. Fucking lazy ass writers. I really liked that episode. And then number 2 is Bad Blood. I thought it was a really good episode, but it was a goof episode, and I kind of feel like they're just copping out by having all these goof episodes, because if you make it a goof episode, it means you don't have to put as much effort into making an episode. Like, if you just, it would be so easy to just exaggerate Scully and Scully and Mulder's, it would be so easy to exaggerate their mannerisms. And that's literally this episode. And I love that we get to see through the perspective of each of them. And I thought it was great, the vampire stuff and the sunflower seeds, how he threw a trail of sunflower seeds to attract Ronnie the vampire. I thought that was hilarious, and it was a really good episode. I give it an A+. And I would say that it was a standout episode of the series. But again, I don't like the goofiness. And the number 1 is Fully Ado, or I guess that's how you say it. I thought that it was a fantastic episode because it did what I was waiting for the whole season. It put Mulder back in his position again where he believes in the supernatural, and it put Scully in the logical position again. And I really love the story how you had this shooter and then Mulder actually believes him, and it's like, oh shit, that's actually like a really intense and dark story, because it seems like such a bad situation to be in where you're actually siding with a workplace shooter. And the fact that the boss, those villains were really evil, and they were really cool too, how they used the practical effects, and they had where they hid from the light and everything. I really liked this episode, and I thought it was definitely the best of the season for me. So, Safi, what would you rate this season in terms of food?
Well, I put it was Wendy's French fries.
Oh.
This is basically based on everything you've been saying for the last month, I think, which would have been the month of January.
No, it was like a week or so.
Wendy's has been saying they've had this promotional advertisement, and it talks about Wendy's French fries. They're hot and crispy.
Guaranteed.
And ever since they announced that, it's been just the opposite.
Yeah.
Along with black spots, not crispy, and not even hot.
Green spots, gray spots, brown spots, yellow spots.
And that's kind of what this season was. Because you have a promise that it's going to be like every other season. And what happens is, because they're working on a movie, It's not what it's supposed to be. And that's kind of like what Wendy's French fries has been the last month. So that's my review.
Well, and it is true, by the way. Like, literally, ever since they announced that hot and crispy, guaranteed, ever since that, the fries have been increasingly bad. To where the last time I went there, I looked at the fries, took one glance at them, and then threw them in the trash.
And I go to, the only thing I eat at Wendy's, because I've had some bad experiences with food poisoning, is I have a cheesy baked potato. So the day that I went to KFC, he decided he'd go to Wendy's. Well, I got fries at KFC. Now, of all the places in the whole world, would you ever think you'd get French fries at KFC? And I think this is a recent addition. I don't think they've had them all along. I really don't ever remember. They have mashed potatoes and gravy, but not anything but that. Well, they have these fries, and so I got them for Marco.
And guess what? They were hot and crispy.
And perfect. They were perfect. I even liked the taste.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they used a similar oil to Arby's, but Arby's is, I can't eat it. It just tastes weird. But this was a subtler version, and it was good. They were good, and I don't even eat fries. But I had one or two, and I thought, well, these are hot and crispy. I don't see any black spots.
Guaranteed. It wasn't even guaranteed, but it was still good.
And they were hot, too. That's the thing about KFC, which I've said, is their food is hot. When you bring it home, it's hot. It's still warm, at least. It's not ice cold. And that is really rare. Because most of the food, at least that we have, you bring it home, it's cold by the time we get home.
Or it gets like hot when it isn't supposed to.
I mean, we don't live 2 hours away from these places.
This past time I went to Wendy's where I threw the fries in the trash, the Frosty was literally soup. It was literally liquid. And it's like, this is bad. Like, this is inexcusable. And But my food rating is Safi.
Yeah.
Remember Subway?
Yeah.
Remember that one time at Subway where we went there and you went in there and you ordered us some Subway or you picked it up, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as usual, I wanted to get turkey and crap, a turkey sub like usual.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they give me? They gave me mystery meat. They gave me some weird pink meat on the sandwich, and it looked like something that, it looked like inhuman, like it looked so gross. It was like, remember Fallout 4, how there's this pink slime? Like, it looked like the pink slime was packaged into meat. And Safi informed me that it was some Frankenstein meat where they mixed 3 different meats together, including bologna, salami, and some other shit. And I was like, it was so gross, just the imagery of seeing that. That's what this was like, because it's like, this was not X-Files. This did not feel normal this season. It felt like a goof. It felt like a rest season. Like, the actors have been working really hard. All the actresses have been fighting off David Duchovny's gross advances, and now they want to take a break. They don't want David's drool all over them, and so we get this. We get mystery meat, and I don't like mystery meat, and I bet no one in the X-Files cast likes mystery meat either. And so why would you make mystery meat as a season is beyond me. So that's my rating, Safi.
Okay, well, if you like this video, press the like button and come and be one of our subscribers. We always welcome new subscribers because we enjoy having a conversation and a discussion about what we watch and what you watch. And I think that's good. So,
Bye, everybody.
bye.